Wireless LAN Professionals Podcast, episode 180.
So what we did is, we immediately wanted to start off first, making sure that there was something that was affordable that we could put in there that wouldn't bump the price of it too much. But then at the end of the day, the whole mentality came back of, we want to put something in there that you're going to use and will last. So the difference between $29 and $79 is totally worth it if it's something that you're going to use over and over and over again.
Wireless LAN Professionals is a place to educate, inform, encourage, and entertain those involved in wireless LANs. This Wireless LAN Professionals podcast is an audio manifestation of these goals. Our host is a wireless LAN veteran, consultant, designer, and teacher, Keith Parsons. And now, the podcast for wireless LAN professionals by wireless LAN professionals.
Welcome back to the Wireless LAN Professionals podcast. My name is Keith Parsons, and today I'm with Drew Lentz talking about his new Wi-Fi survey kit. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Hey, thanks for having me, Keith.
Well, you just announced this week a new Wi-Fi survey kit. It looks great. I watched your live stream, whatever you did for your announcement, and I thought it'd be a great thing for our audience to hear you talk a little bit about the history of where it came from, how it's kind of tied to your Wi-Fi Stand company, and fill everybody in on the process. So let's just get right into it. Tell us a little bit about your ideas and thoughts of why you came up with this.
So when we first started with Wi-Fi Stand, we saw an opportunity to help other wireless engineers with a product that they could use, with something that they could carry with them every day and make their jobs a little easier, make them run a little bit more efficient. Do something that didn't require a bunch of rigging stuff together and trying to figure out, a creative way to mount an access point. And so the Wi-Fi Stand really helped out with that. And, as we progressed, we started to bundle things with the Wi-Fi Stand. And, when we first started out, we just told people, if you need a tripod or a light stand, just jump on Amazon. They're fairly inexpensive. Here's the one we recommend. And what we quickly learned is that people didn't want that. They wanted us to bundle it together for them. So we started bundling tripods. And after we started bundling tripods, we started bundling wheel kits. And after bundling wheel kits, we started bundling batteries. And basically, we got to the point where we're selling these bundles of stuff that people wanted in order to get their job done. And the only next logical step that we had was to put it all into a case. And so about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we started looking for a case that could fit everything that we had into it. And that kind of kicked off a whole a trial period where we were grabbing every case we could find and drilling holes in it and trying to understand how to get everything together in one area. And, the battery was a difficult part of it. And then the tripod was a difficult part of it. And all these things kind of, went back and forth. And really the course of the last 2 years, we've whittled down a way to get everything into one single case. And we wanted to make sure also that the case wasn't just something that we liked. So what we did is we reached out to a number of people in the community, in the Wi-Fi community, and through our Slack channel and through everything else. And we said, hey, what are the tools that you most commonly use when you're out doing a Wi-Fi survey? And what we did is we got those lists and we combined them, and we found kind of the top 5 or 6 items that everyone used. And we said, okay, let's make accommodations for those, because the goal wasn't to create a kit or a case of all new stuff that you had to buy. The goal was that we could take the existing tools that you have, the stuff you've already made investments in, and we could give you a place to store them and carry that thing on with you on an airplane. And so we put a lot of work into designing the custom foam insert that goes into the case itself. We traded about 200 emails with the foam manufacturer, going back and forth over the course of the last year to get the foam done the way that we wanted, it done. And then once we had the foam in, then we started to look at how we customize the case in order to add functionality to it. And so, understanding where to drill the holes, what holes to drill, what we were putting in those holes, that was the next step. And so, to that regard, we don't want to leave anything, as kind of a cheap component. I built this so that I can carry it, right? And I built this so that my friends can carry it. And I know that other people benefit from it. So we put a lot of attention to detail in the brands and in the specific items that we include in the case. For example, on the Cat 6 connectors on the outside, we're using externally mounted Cat 6A connectors from a company called Nutric. And Nutric is very well known in the concert and audio industry for making some indestructible style mounts, and they're a little bit more expensive. They're about twice the cost of a cheapo little screw cap um, Cat 5 or Cat 6 connector. But you know what? We have we know that they're going to last. We know that they're going to serve their purpose. We know that people will be comfortable and confident with that. And the same like the tripod. I mean, when we looked at the tripod that we included in this case, we had to find something that could not only fold up to fit the dimensions of the case, but something that was rugged and durable and that would hold a 6-pound access point. And we bought, I don't know how many tripods, and we tested all of them out. And we would knock them over, and we, watch access points at the ground and try and not break stuff. And we made our determination based on really trying out each and every one of the products that go in there to understand how they worked and how they all fit together. And a couple years into it, that's where Wi-Fi Survey Kit came from. We were lucky enough the domain name was open, the Twitter handle, the Instagram, all that stuff was available. So we went ahead and registered Wi-Fi Survey Kit, and it's basically a group of components, including the Wi-Fi stand and the stuff that we manufacture. But the whole idea is that we can build something that everyone in this industry can take advantage of. And if you're new to the game and you're looking for a kit that has everything that most engineers use, this is a really good place to start. And then, of course, to kick it up a notch, we leverage our partnership with Ekahau, and we can even include an Ekahau sidekick in there and some licensing if you want to take it that far. So it's kind of how we got to where we are.
Well, let's talk through some of the parts that are included. One, you ended up using one of the Manfrotto stands that I had recommended. You asked lots and lots of people questions, and it's one I found. I thought you might have to end up putting it diagonally inside the lid, but you got it to fit cleanly in there. So what was your thought and reasoning behind using that tripod?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm glad that you found it. We started looking at with Wi-Fi stand, when we started recommending light stands and wheel kits and stuff like that. The Manfrotto brand is great. It's a fantastic brand, but everyone knows you pay a premium for it, right? It's a little bit more expensive. So what we did is, we immediately wanted to start off first, making sure that there was something that was affordable that we could put in there that wouldn't bump the price of it too much. But then at the end of the day, the whole mentality came back of, we want to put something in there that you're going to use and will last. So the difference between $29 and $79 is totally worth it if it's something that you're going to use over and over and over again. And I know you put a lot of, you've worked with that stand a lot. And so, that a recommendation obviously from the industry means a lot to us. But we found some other ones that look the same, that look similar, and they just didn't perform as well. And so what we did is we reached out to Manfrotto, and we're establishing a relationship with them right now as an authorized reseller, which gives us a little bit of a discount on the stand itself, so that when we bundle it, we can do it at an affordable rate for everybody. And it gives us the opportunity to take advantage of a premium brand that isn't just premium because of the name. It's premium because it actually works, and it stands up, and it doesn't fall over when you put an AP on it, or when you accidentally bump into it, or brush up against it. So we made sure that we went with that. And then the wheel kit for it, what was interesting is we went through more wheel kits than we actually did tripods, because one of the biggest requests we get is to make sure that we have wheel kits on some of these tripods to roll them around. And we went back and forth, and we ended up with the newer wheel kit because it was the only one that fit the legs of that Manfrotto tripod. And so we're looking at that. They have a new wheel kit. Manfrotto has a new wheel kit that's come out. So what we did is, instead of making a specific cutout for the wheel kit, we're basically attaching a bag, not the bag that you see in the picture. It's actually gonna be a newer bag or a little compartment, so that we can swap the wheel kits out in the future if we need to with something a little different. But on the tripod, just to call it out, the way that you see it on the website is not the way that the final product is. What we're doing is our our acrylic backplate that goes on the top part of it. We're gonna put a cutout in there so that one of the legs actually slides back into the top of the case. So there's really only one way that you can fit the tripod in there.
Oh, so it rotates around, so the pointy part is down rather than it points toward the lid rather than toward the inside.
Yeah, it slides into the back of it. So that way, we noticed that when we shut the case, when we shut the lid on it, it made a little bit of an indentation in the foam. And so we said, well, we can fix that. We'll just make a cutout in the acrylic. And that way, it's a nice, clean way to store that tripod without worrying about it hitting some of the other components that are in there.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed. I've used that Manfrotto for quite a number of years. It's one of the few that actually fit in carry-on. There's lots of cheap, $20-$30 you can get a light stand that works really, really well. I have no problem using light stands. You just can't travel with them. I'm taking the car. Yeah, and they're cheap enough. There's many times I'll just go to Amazon and have one drop shipped to my customer because they just work so well. But this Manfrotto works well. It lifts high enough that if you add the Wi-Fi stand, you're up really close to where you want to be anyway. But I've never ran a wheel kit on it, so I'm kind of looking forward to running the same stand. And I have another Manfrotto that I use with wheels. It's a bigger size, but it doesn't travel as well. So this is going to be good.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. We tried these out. We wanted to make sure that it's something obviously that I will use personally. I mean, I do as many, with my job, right? I do as many site surveys as anybody else. Maybe not as anybody else, but I do a few. But it's definitely something that I will use and something that I'll put some time into. And I think that's kind of the thing here, right? We wanted to make sure this isn't just something that we're going to put out there and just hope that people use it. We actually want them to use it. I mean, that was the whole purpose of building in the cutouts that we did and including the components that we did was giving people something that they will absolutely use on site, and they'll have the opportunity to use every piece that's in this kit.
A question: when you're doing your surveys and you have this stand, I mean, you have a separate tripod and then you have your case, and the case has the battery in it. If the battery stays in the case, do you end up moving the whole case with your tripod as you're going from site to site? Or do you pull the battery out and then just use it individually?
So you can use it either way, and that's why we did what we did. If you look at where the battery goes on there, I stuffed two little foam inserts to the left and right hand side of the battery. You can either use it, if you're using it stationary without the wheels on the tripod, then the PoE ports on the case itself and the USB port that's on top of it, you can leverage those to do whatever you need to. And if you put the wheel kit on the tripod, you just want to roll them both around, that's fine. But nothing's stopping you from taking this battery out and using the included attachment to strap it to the pole and the tripod and move it along with you. We wanted to make sure that we gave everybody as much flexibility as they needed to use it however they wanted. We don't want to lock the battery down in the case and not give you the ability to take it out. But at the same time, if you wanted to leave it in there and never touch it, we wanted to make sure that you were comfortable doing that as well.
And so the ports you have coming out of the holes you've drilled, tell us about what they are and why you have them there.
Perfect. So there's a total of 5 that go into this kit, and basically, if you're looking at it from the front, on the left hand side, that's a LAN port, or I'm doing air quotes here. That's an Ethernet in, and it's a black color. They're all color coded, which is pretty cool. We were able to get the little inserts that make them color coded. So the black port on the left hand side, that's your Ethernet in, and that's where you would connect in if you want to connect this back to your LAN, or if you want to connect it to a WLAN Pi, or if you want to connect it to some other test tool or a laptop or whatever it is, that's the port that you would use. And then on the right-hand side, we have a blue port and a green port, and those go to corresponding Ethernet patch cables. And those are for, one of them's for 802.3 AF, and the other is for 802.3 AT. And so that way you can use one or the other port depending on what you need, and it's color-coded so you don't mess it up. And those are just basically replications of the ports that are on the accelerator battery, the Exceltex accelerator battery. And then we have a 2.1 millimeter power port so that you can charge it externally. Now, if you want to, you can go in and you can flip that port and you can use it as DC out. But we have it configured and set up so that so that it allows you to charge it. You plug the charger into the box instead of plugging the charger into the battery. And then on the top, underneath the handle, we have a USB port, and that's a powered USB port that comes off of that Exceltex. And so in one of the pictures we have, we took the WLAN Pi, and the WLAN Pi is included, making sure we use that WLAN Pro's version of the WLAN Pi starter kit.
Thank you.
Hey, it's all collaboration, man. That's the thing here, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But that WLAN Pi can be plugged into the USB port on top of the case, powered there, and then run Ethernet into the LAN side so that you can do any of the testing that you need to right there, everything on the box.
I'm pretty sure this is based on the Exceltex battery. What's the amperage on that USB coming out of the top?
I don't know, to be honest. It is based on the Exceltex battery.
I think it's 3 amps, but it's enough to drive your USB-C and at least keep it level. I don't know if it'll charge it, but it'll keep it without burning out too bad.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. If, let me see. I'm on their website. That's a good question. I mean, it's a 5-volt USB port. And we looked at that. We just wanted to do that port replication on there, whether it was for the Excel text, or in the future, if there's another battery that fits in there. If there's a way. I mean, one of the things that we thought about is VinVolt. There's a VinVolt battery that's out there as well. And what we wanted to look at is that in the future, if there's any other battery technology, we want to make it so that this foam can be swapped in and out, right? We want to, we don't glue the foam down onto the kit on purpose. We want to make sure that if in the future, if something's there and we do an update to our foam, you can just order the foam. You don't have to reorder the whole case and reorder the cutouts and all the other stuff, which from a business plan perspective, it's not about making the most money. It's about making the best money. It's about making sure that we're serving the industry and doing something for them and giving everybody all the options that they have. So it's a standard USB 3 port that's set up by Nutric. It's definitely capable of handling the higher powers. But right now it's just it's tuned to the 5-volt, I guess, that's coming out of the accelerator.
One of the nice things I like about that accelerator is if you pull it out and you look on the bottom, as you go through TSA and they're like, oh, battery, no, it's got the exact specs in the format that TSA is looking for. And it stays inside there. You can put this in your baggage level. So it's very helpful if you need to travel and you're worried about that, it's stamped right on the outside, makes it really easy to get through any kind of hassle with your airlines. Another thing, so inside the case, you have some custom foam. It's obviously been through, would you say, 200 emails to figure out exactly what's there. What are the other parts that come with the kit that are inside?
Cool. So what we have is, like I said, some of the common things that everybody wants. The Wi-Fi stands in there. Luckily, that was at the top of everyone's list. I'm not sure if that's because they were emailing me or because they actually use it. I hope it's because they actually use it.
And it's the V2 version.
It is the V2, correct. It is so very. It's a good thing to point out. There's not enough room in this kit for the XL, and we really wanted to try and accommodate the XL. But we just couldn't. There's just not enough real estate in this case. So we're continually looking at different cases to see what's out there. But it's about the way that we configure where the products go and how it fits into something that's carry-on capable. Because the whole idea is that this is a go kit. This is something that we want people to just know that all of their stuff is in one place and they can just grab it and go, whether they're doing a site survey or whether they're doing AP on a stick or whether they're doing some basic testing. We just wanted everything in there so that they can just grab and go and know that everything is specifically where it needs to be. So we want to, with that being said, this is the version 2 bracket that's in there. We also include the Acme adapter. So that's the painter's pole adapter is included in there. Those are kind of the 2 main things that we sell: the tripod, the wheel kit. Everyone asks for a flashlight. So we've just got a nice bright LED flashlight that's in there. And then we've got the Bosch laser rangefinder, and the one that we have, I mean, we looked at a couple different ones. I believe the model is the 70M or something like that. It's the one that does 130 feet.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that Bosch, and we've done them in WLPC boot camps. We have the Bosch and the Ekahau Advanced class that Blake does uses that, and it has some really cool features for. You walk in, you just hook it with Bluetooth up to your laptop or your tablet, and you can build a room and build a floor plan. But man, I like my Fluke. Been using it for a long, long time, so I'm sure they both fit in the same size little slot there.
They do. We want to make sure that we did that, so they fit in there. The one that we have, we're not using the one that has Bluetooth on it. The 135, the one that we have is the GLM 42 model. So there is no Bluetooth on there that I'm aware of. The Bluetooth is only on the higher end one, which is great. They're both, I mean, it depends. If someone wants to order it with the one that has Bluetooth, then I mean, we're not going to say no. We're obtaining these, what we try to do with each of the components that are in there is set up agreements with either the manufacturer or with the master distributor so that we could order this stuff in bulk. But at the same time, I mean, it's like you're not tied to it. And one of the things that we give you the option to do if you go on the website is build a custom kit. So you can go in there and deselect the things that you already have that you've made investments in, or like the laser rangefinder. If you're already using yours and you don't want ours, then just unselect it, because I mean, you like the Fluke one. I like the Bosch one, but I'm not going to penalize you because you have a different taste. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's a great option. You're like, here, pick and choose the parts you need, and a lot of us already have some of the parts, but not all of them. And so I think that's a very wise decision on your part to make it as customizable as possible. But there's still people who just say, I want the whole thing.
That's right. And then we have obviously the Exceltex battery is in there, and then there's ports in there for the chargers. There's a place to put your keys. I mean, there's like it's the little things, right? But all that's included. There's a full list on the website of everything that's included in there. And then as time goes on, if I find out that everyone's not not including something, or people don't like a feature of it, then we can go in there and we can change the parts list and load out depending on the phone, because I don't think it's going to stay like this forever. For right now, it's serving the purpose of what we all do. But I mean, who's to say we're not going to need some special tool in the next year or 2 years or whatever it is? I want to make sure that we can accommodate that. Now, the one thing that we haven't talked about, the tool that's in there, and I wanted to use this as kind of a bridge into the community support side, is when Rob Boardman made his little USB holster and put it out there, the community got behind him, and it was fantastic to see all of us supporting someone who was supporting us, and that was really cool. When Adrian Granados built his software, we all got behind him as well. When we came out with the Wi-Fi stand, the whole industry got behind me as well, and it's such a cool feeling. And I'm constantly trying to find people who want to do something, like I've been lucky enough to have the Wi-Fi stand, make a big difference in a lot of people's lives and what we're doing. And so I'm always trying to find people that have an idea, and I'm always trying to help them figure out how they can realize that idea. And whether that's helping them with manufacturing or 3D printing or design or whatever it is, I'm one of those advocates that's been thankfully on the receiving end of the support of the community. And so Blake Croney, one of our very good friends, he has a new tool that he's going to put out there in the marketplace, and it's included in our kit. We made a special accommodation to put it in there, and I will, I don't want to take any of the story away from how he came up with it and what he did with it, so I will leave that for a different episode. But it's called the Snap-A-Mark tool, and it has a home right there in the side of our Wi-Fi survey kit. And it's a great tool that he's built to fulfill a need that a lot of us have had when we're out doing site surveys, and we're looking for a creative way, to mark different places where access points will be installed. So that is in there. But again, I want to make sure that Blake tells the story the way it's supposed to be done. But just know that it is included, and just like Jerry Ola, and with what all the work that him and the whole team have done on the WLAN Pi, and then Keith, what you guys have done with kitting it together and making it very accessible to everybody via your web store. When we all get behind each other, it helps the industry overall. And if I have a box that can be filled with stuff that's made by the industry, then that's totally cool. It helps us all at the end of the day. And we really wanted to encourage that. And I hope it resonates with everybody.
Yeah, and you definitely talked to a lot of people to find out what their input was. Now, in the center section, it's just a big hole where you're going to put in an AP and or a sidekick. You ever thought about, so if I'm taking this on the airplane, I'm pretty careful with it when it's coming with me inside, and it does fit as my carry-on luggage. If I want to ship this as baggage, I'm a little afraid the AP is going to bounce. Is there anything to scraps of the leftover foam that we could get in there to kind of tighten up that AP a little bit, or have you seen any problem with that?
We haven't seen a problem with it, as a matter of fact. So if you look at pictures on the site, there's basically, the way that it works is the cutout where the AP or the sidekick goes is 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. It's 2.5 inches deep. So what you see there is that's a Cisco 1832 AP. And it's got the mounting kit on the back of it. So we put it in there with the mounting kit to see how tall it would be. And we wanted to make sure that we made that accommodation in there. But when you put it in there, and then there's a piece of foam cutout that goes over the top of it so that you can place the Wi-Fi stand on top of the foam so that you don't scratch either one of them up or have them ding each other. When you put that all in there and you shut the case, it holds it pretty securely. Now, a sidekick's a little thinner, right?
Yeah, nothing's going to bounce very far, only a couple inches, and it's running into foam. But I guess you're kind of squeezing it closed there.
Yes, yeah. So when you push it down, there's enough pressure on the Wi-Fi stand from the stuff that's on top, from where the wheel kit is, and from where the tripod is, that it pushes down on the Wi-Fi stand, which applies the pressure onto the phone, which holds it in there pretty snugly. Yeah, it works. It works pretty well.
Thought of everything.
200 iterations over email. I mean, it's been like, I think we probably went through, and I'm staring at pieces of foam that are. I mean, God, you know how many of these Nanic cases I've destroyed? I mean, it's terrible. I mean, and they're not cheap, right? But I've got some. I may scrap them or put them up for someone else to buy, because we've drilled holes and we've pulled foam and chopped stuff, and each one of these foam cutouts, we're charged a design fee, right? And we're charged a foam fee and all this other stuff. So we've put quite an investment into making sure that it's done the way that it's supposed to. But iteration after iteration, we wanted to make sure that it was something that served the community.
And it would have been really easy just to grow to the next size box, but then you wouldn't have been carry-on capable. I'm sure that temptation hit you many times.
Yeah, but I mean, this Nanic, right? I've been using this case for so long, and it's a Nanic 935, and it comes in a whole variety of colors. And so if someone wants a custom color, we want to try and order them in bulk. So we want to try and order them all with one color. That from a pricing and stocking perspective, it's easy. But if someone says, "Hey, I really want an orange one or a yellow one or a red one," or whatever colors they are, there's a list of colors that are online, and we can order those. Not a big deal. It's it's the same as ordering the cases. We will keep some inventory here, so that way if someone wants one, we immediately ship it. But if someone's willing to wait a little bit extra time for a custom color case, it's all the same to us. We're going to take it. We're going to drill the same holes in it and put the same foam in it. So it's easily customizable.
So are you going to have some in stock, or is this a made to order kind of thing?
Yes and no. What we're going to do is like I said, we'll build up an inventory of some that have everything in there, and those will be ready to ship. We'll probably, I don't know how many we'll keep on hand. It depends on what the orders start to come in, what they look like. Right now, I mean, the average order size we're getting is for 3 of these cases. So we're doing basically 3 at a time. But we've got, hopefully there'll be a couple of big orders coming in, and we've got to figure out how to basically tool up so that we can process 20, 30, 40, 50 at a time for some of these clients. But then if something comes in, if an order comes in and it's someone who just wants to customize it, then it's easy for us to just pull the components out once they're already in there. And then we're going to try and keep a nice inventory of all the components that are in the case, so that as they get customized, we can add or remove them to make sure that we can get the case out to the customer as soon as possible.
One thing I just thought of, you have some custom straps that go on the tripod so it stays on the lid properly. Does it also come with extra straps, so when you put the tripod up, you can string your Cat 5 up?
Yes, yeah. We've got the little Wi-Fi. Those are those Velcro straps that we had the treasure hunt at WLPC last year. I was sticking those straps all over the place, having the scavenger hunt at that DoubleTree. So we throw 4 of them in there to make sure that there's enough to hold the cable that's on. And the cable comes with it. We include, I think I have a 7-foot cable listed on the website, but we're actually putting in a 10-foot Panduit patch cable. And so that's because 7 feet is the height of the tripod. We want to make sure that the case can either be behind it or beside it or wherever. So we're including that 10-foot cable in there.
A little, that extra couple feet, you never know.
You never know, man. You never know.
I mean, if you're putting the battery on the tripod, 7 feet's fine. Well, good. So this is obviously an upgrade from your Wi-Fi stand process. And how long has Wi-Fi stand been around as a company?
Yeah, it's we're going on year number 3. So July 11th is our 3-year anniversary, and we've shipped. I don't even know how. You know what? I haven't done a count. I don't know how many we've shipped.
Many. Official word, many stands. So if we wait another couple of years, we'll see what's next for your company. So this is WiFiSurveyKit.com is the location to look at it, but it is a Wi-Fi stand company product. I don't know how to say that the right way you'd like to say it.
Instead of starting up a whole new company and trying to going through that whole process, since the majority of the stuff that's in there is from Wi-Fi Stand anyway, and all this really is a gift basket for nerds, we didn't feel like starting something else up, and so we branded it and we set it up as its own kind of give it its own persona. We carried over the fonts and the logos and the colors and all the other stuff behind it, and all the payment processing is done through Wi-Fi Stand. There's just no sense in reinventing the wheel and causing a lot of commotion. But who knows? I mean, if it ends up being its own monster, then we may want to spin it off. But for right now, it's fine just being something in the Wi-Fi Stand family.
So WiFiStand.com and WiFiSurveyKit.com. Drew Lentz, thank you for your time. It's been enjoyable to learn a little bit about the history of this new Wi-Fi survey kit.
Yeah. Well, thanks for chatting with me. It's like I said, I mean, this all goes back to making sure that we're doing something that people will use. There's no sense of building a product in this industry if no one's going to use it. And again, I would strongly encourage anybody to take whatever idea you have in your head and put it out there. Do something with it. And if you don't think you can do it, call me or call Blake or call Rob or call Keith or call Jerry. Call someone in the industry and realize that sometimes it's not that difficult to get an idea out of your head into market. And when you do that, you'll see that the industry will get behind you and have that support. But it's such a, it's one of those things that it always makes me proud to be a part of this Wi-Fi community, because we do help each other out and we do it for the right reasons. I mean, I hope to see a lot of people using these kits to store their stuff, because that's the goal. And obviously it goes without saying, WLPC, there'll be a few of them floating around there, I'm sure. So the scavenger hunt's going to be extra exciting this year.
Extra exciting. We will like that. Hey, maybe we'll have to do one over in Prague. Have you come over to the Prague one coming up in October?
Go stash one somewhere in Prague. Who knows?
Well, thank you for your time, Drew. Hope you have the rest of your day turns out as nice as you'd like.
All right. Thanks, Keith. We'll see you.
Good afternoon. Has everyone had a good conference? Yeah? I want to talk to and announce something new that the WLA are going to do, the WLAN Association. Just before I do that, I'm aware that some people may not know who we are, so I just want to start with a very quick introduction about who we are and what we're going to be doing and what we're doing. So to start things off then, really, the WLAN Association is a non-profit professional association for the WLAN industry. And we seek really to further the industry by supporting professionals who work in it through education, through supporting them, recognition, representation. And we're doing that to some extent by building a community of individuals, building a community through things like webinars, training sessions. We've just been hosting some Ask Me Anything sessions, which some of you may have attended, but they've been very well received. We've also doing local chapter meetups, which I'm going to chat about just at the end, some ones that are coming up. But this is where we just have local members in different places get together to chat about Wi-Fi and share ideas, share experiences with people who are close by and build those relationships. We're also trying to produce documentation, things like standardized frameworks and best practice documentation, which the aim of to do is to basically try and support the industry and people working in it with documents that they can use to help them to produce wireless networks which work and work first time. That's who we are. What do I want to talk about today? Well, I want to announce the WLAN Association Mentor Scheme, which is something we've been working quite hard to define over the last few months. So what are WLA mentors? They're a group of recognized experts who share a common goal to grow and further the industry by supporting both individuals, supporting the industry as a whole, and also potentially publishing documents, which we'll talk about a little bit on. But let's start by supporting individuals. Now, in my career, I've been very lucky to have many mentors which have helped both define me and improve me as an individual, as a professional, technically mentor me in many different ways to help me to be able to do some of the things I do now. And if it wasn't for some of those individuals, I wouldn't be stood up on the stage now talking. I think a good mentor is a bit like sandpaper. Sort of you rub against something and it refines it, doesn't it, and smooths it down. And sometimes in our life, we need someone to come along and refine us and knock the rough edges off us. And that's what a lot of people have done in my career, and I'm really thankful for those people. So what are we going to do with how are our mentors going to support individuals? Well, it's a way for our members of the Wireless LAN Association to contact and get in contact with seasoned professionals. This could be in one of two ways. We've got, it might be that you have a particular problem you need help with. You've got a technical question. It might be you're trying to deploy a particular system and you're struggling an element of it and you need some help and support. It could be that you've got a trace file, a packet trace file you've captured and you don't really understand what you're seeing and you just want to ask someone who might be able to help you interpret what you're seeing. So there's going to be a forum where you can ask questions of a group of experts who can potentially help you and support you with particular issues you're having. And it's not going to be like a public forum, which you have already out on the internet, where a lot of the times you've got questions which, because of confidentiality issues, you can't just put on a public forum. So this is a way of asking a select group of individuals that can help you personally with the issue you're having. The other type of mentoring that I think people often talk about wanting is what I would class as one-on-one mentoring. This is where you want to be mentored through a particular process or in a particular technology. So we're going to have a way for our members to request one-on-one mentoring where you can say, hey, I'm trying to study for a CWNA certification. I'd like someone to mentor me through it, or I'd like someone to mentor me through a Cisco exam and a Aruba exam. And you will put a request in. There will be a way of saying where you are, so what time zone you're in, and then that will be able to be viewed, all the requests, by the current mentors, who will be able to see that and take ownership of one of those requests. So our mentors might go, oh, actually, yeah, I could help someone out in that program. I'm in the same time zone. And then they would take responsibility for that request and get in touch with the individual. So as an organization, really what we're seeking to do is put people who and mentors in touch with one another so that that can happen. So that's supporting individuals. In terms of supporting the industry as a whole, we also want this to be a group of industry experts who can advise and comment on industry happenings, whether they're standards which are being produced, programs which are being produced. It might be a case that we create from the group of mentors, the ones that want to be in special interest groups, which maybe could advise and offer support for companies like the Wi-Fi Alliance. Harry was just talking about how, get involved. We have been thinking about whether maybe the WLA could even become a member of the Wi-Fi Alliance. And there might be ways we can have a special interest group there to communicate and with them. So there's a whole host of things this group might be able to do. But also, we want to represent the people who are designing, deploying, administrating wireless networks in the industry. And you get things like, there's been talks on WPA version 3 this week. And I know one comment that came up, there's a lot of really great things defined in it. But I remember when it was actually published, there was some disappointment that there were so many elements that were optional. So wouldn't it be great if, as an organization, we could officially respond to things like published documents and put forward how we feel about it in some sort of official response. So again, the mentors potentially will be a group of people that can think about drafting responses to industry happenings. So the idea is basically to grow the industry. Also, mentors will have opportunities to contribute to the WLA through blogs, webinars, the Ask Me Anything sessions. So there's going to be a whole host of ways that mentors can contribute to what we're doing. So how's this scheme going to work and how are we going to get it off the ground? Well, the current executive board of the WLAN Association have been carefully selecting and putting together a list and voting on a list of who will be the founding or who we're going to invite to become the founding WLA mentors. These are people who we consider at the top of sort of the industry experts currently in our industry. And we want to set the bar for these founding members high initially, because the idea is when we invite them and if they accept the invitation to come on board, is we've got a group of people who will actually define the program going forward. I don't want it just to be me or another 4 of us sat in a room dreaming up this scheme. I want the mentors themselves to define how the program's going to go forward in the future. So After the founding members, we'll have some sort of application process to become a mentor. People will be able to apply. We're going to have the founding mentors define what that looks like and define potentially a review board to review applications and what level that should be. Because we feel that that's the best way to keep the quality high, is to have the people who are the experts to define what the mentor scheme should look like. So that's the idea. When is it likely to happen? Well, probably the invitations, I suspect, will go out in about 5 to 6 weeks. That will coincide with some new functionality that's been added to our website, so watch out for that. And so it's probably within sort of 6 weeks. We'll then wait and see what the response is to the invitations to the mentors, and we'll try and then from there build out a mentor scheme, and eventually there'll be a way for other people, an application process for people to become mentors as well. That's the mentor scheme that I wanted to talk about. Just before, I hope you think it's a good idea. I'd welcome any comments. Come and chat to me about it. If there's things you don't like that I've said, let me know that as well. I want to just finish by talking about some upcoming events which are happening, some local chapter meetups. We've got our second UK local chapter meetup on the 5th of April in the south of England in a place called Reading. There's going to be the second Dutch event happening on the 12th of April. And I've been really keen to get some US ones going. And we've been chatting this conference. There's going to be 2 in Arkansas. The actual date hasn't been decided. There'll be one up in the north, and then there'll be one at Titan Wrench happening later on in the year. So watch out for the dates of those. Again, if you're a member of the WLA and you'd like to set up a local chapter, you'd like to run local events, then please do. If you want help in knowing how to do that, come and chat to either myself or any member of the executive team, and we're here to try and support you, help you get that event up and running, get the chapter started. We will have a list of all local chapters on the website with the new functionality that's been added to the website. Should hopefully go live in around 6 weeks' time. And that's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Wireless LAN Professionals Podcast, the podcast for wireless LAN professionals by wireless LAN professionals. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Wireless LAN Pros for all the latest news and updates, and also connect directly with Keith on Twitter at Keith R. Parsons. Head over to www.wlanpros.com for this episode's show notes, as well as the latest in all things Wi-Fi.